So if you need to take a second now and grab, like I said, the chair, I'm going to grab my blanket. I'm going to grab my bolster. I'm just going to have everything and a block as well. So we're going to start off today, like I said, in legs up the wall. And we're going to make that comfy for ourselves. So take the first 2 minutes or so to get yourself settled in. So I'm going to scoop myself right up against my chair and just let my heels rest on the chair. If you have something that's a little taller, your legs might go straight up. Your legs might rest a little bit higher. Any of that is fine as long as your knees are above your heart. So we're just going to start in that space. And then just do me a favor and kind of press your elbows into the earth a little bit. Draw your shoulder blades down and together. And just let your neck really lengthen out. And pay attention to where your hands rest, but don't feel the need to change where they are. So mine feel really good today, like on my thighs, my hips. Probably because there's some tightness there. Yours might feel really good on your belly, alongside you. Maybe cactus arms might feel really good today. We're going to be here for a few moments, so make yourself as comfortable and settled as possible. And then just a little side to side with your head. Get the neck really long. And then possibly you close your eyes. And this is the first posture for the practice, so maybe not yet. But at least to let your eyes kind of soften the focus. Maybe there's something in particular above you that you really have focus on. Maybe they come to kind of like a half mast. Just really settle. So we usually don't start with legs up the wall in any practice, except for this kind of gentle restorative practice. So I thought it'd be a really nice way to start out today. Specifically because the consensus among most of us is that we are really tired and kind of worn out and just kind of overwhelmed, I guess is a good word, or maybe at capacity, I feel like is a good way to state exactly how we're all feeling in the world at this moment. And legs straight up or legs up the wall is a really nourishing practice. So let it be that for you right now. Don't worry about exactly how perfect the asana is, how perfect your alignment is. Don't worry about how does my tummy look in this? Do I have a double chin? Doesn't matter. Let this practice be really nourishing for you in this moment. And settle. And while you're here, I'm just going to start to talk at you. And as always in this practice, I talk a lot for this practice. It's kind of a stream of consciousness thing. You can feel free to tune me out. You can listen. You can do a little bit of both. And as we settle into today's practice, I really wanted to focus on our internal dialogue today. And specifically, there was a really nice picture that I'd taken of myself in meditation yesterday. I usually don't take pictures in sports bras with no tank top over it because, I wanted to say because the patriarchy, but because I've internalized a lot of things about my body that probably aren't true. definitely have body dysmorphia. I definitely have a lot of feelings about the way that my body looks. And so I took this really nice picture, and I'm going back and forth about whether or not to post it on Instagram. And I finally was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna put it up. And it was all because my, like, you can see my belly a little bit. And I feel like that internal dialogue is something that a lot of us struggle with. I want to say all of us struggle with, probably. In particular, women. And in particular, when we are doing something physical with our bodies. So I would say that those thoughts probably pop up the most when I'm practicing yoga. And so while my body is doing all of these really incredible things, and it's moving and it's keeping me alive, and it's going into all of these beautiful shapes, internally I have this dialogue of, well, my belly's hanging over my pants. My butt doesn't look so good right now. All of these things. You have all the examples, I'm sure. And I've always kind of viewed yoga as a practice of undoing. And that is probably the biggest thing that I have been practicing undoing for the entire time that I've been doing yoga. Undoing all of these things that I've taught myself and internalized about myself, about my body, and about the way that I look. So we'll focus in on that today. It's not a particularly easy subject, but it is definitely one that needs to be addressed in our practice in particular. So while we're here, while we kind of have that rattling around in our brains a little bit, give yourself a few really nice deep breaths. Let them be really big letting go breaths. So you might even on the inhales, imagine that you're collecting all of the stress, all of the tension in your body, kind of scooping it all up to the center. And then on the exhales, we're kind of flushing it out, letting it go. A couple times like that. Inhale, gather it all together. Exhale, flush it out. Maybe one more big breath. And just let your breath fall back into its natural rhythm. Slow, easeful. We're just going to start to transition from our legs up the wall. So from wherever you are, whether your legs are straight up or whether your legs are kind of resting here, we're just going to pull the right knee in towards the chest. And just wrap your fingies around that knee and pull it in and kind of notice, right, if pulling it towards the center gives more sensation or pulling it towards kind of your right armpit gives it more sensation. And if you're at the wall, if your right foot is touching the wall, that's totally fine. Just kind of pull a little bit more. Each exhale, we bring a little bit more pressure in, but we're still widening across our collarbones. Nice and relaxed through the shoulders and the neck. And we're just going to find figure four. So let that right ankle rest just above your left knee and let the right knee point out towards the right edge. So you're making this nice figure four shape. And just kind of hang here for a moment. So again, this works whether you're straight up or whether the knee is bent, doesn't matter. And you're just going to give a little gentle pressure with your right hand. Make sure you're not pressing right on that right knee joint. Maybe starting at the upper thigh and kind of scooping down a little bit. Good, and then we're just going to gently switch. So replace the right foot and bring the left knee in. So same thing, you're going to make that basket and hug. Oh. So again, noticing where the sensation is. For some of us today, it might be if you pull the knee more towards the center line. For me, it feels like more towards the outer line. But play around with it a little bit. And then settle on a space that feels good and hug. So back of the head is still on the ground. We're lengthening through the crown of the head. There's no tension in our neck, in our shoulders. And then let's gently make that figure four. So knee points out towards the left side now, and we're landing that left ankle just above your right knee. And again, you might give some gentle pressure with the left hand. Open palm, we're not grabbing our thigh. We're just kind of pushing up and away. Notice in the figure four where we're a little lopsided, right? So the tendency here is if it feels like too much sensation, we kind of turn ourselves to the side. We want to try to stay towards the center. Your left foot is flexed. And then gently release, replace the foot, and just 2 big breaths here. Feel if there's any marked difference in your legs up the wall. And then very gently, we're going to make our way down to the ground. So I'm just going to kind of kick my chair out of the way very gracefully. Extend the legs, try not to kick over your teeth. Nice. Reach the arms up overhead, find that big full body stretch. So like it's first thing in the morning, you're just going to reach from your fingers to your toes, find some length in your body. And keeping all that length and space, let's come into our banana. So let's arc the right heel and then the left over to the right side. You might cross your left ankle over the right. And then I'm just gonna use my head to scooch my head and shoulders to the right side as well. So we've got this big open shape on the left side body. Shoulders are down, hips are down. Breathing. You might take your left wrist into your right fingers. So this posture, we might feel different sensations based on the day. So today I feel a really deep stretch into this hip crease, into my hip flexor. Sometimes it might be some space in the ribs. And then let's scoot back to center and gently uncross. And you guessed it, opposite side. So we're going to scooch the feet over to the left now. And use your head to kind of scooch your arms, shoulders to the left side as well. You might cross your right ankle over the left. You might wrap your left fingertips around that right wrist. Relax your shoulders. And relax the muscles in your butt a little bit, your glutes. And just breathe into that big space in this right side body. Good, that big, beautiful stretch back to center, uncross. Unwind, fingers, ankles, stretch it out. And then gently hug your knees in. Wrap the arms around, squeeze. And you might do a gentle side to side rock. Good, let's bring the soles of the feet back down to the earth. Lightly touching down. And I'm just going to ask you to pick up your butt and kind of tuck your tailbone under, flattening the tailbone as much as we can. And then same thing, just pull your shoulder blades down and closer together. Let's scooch the left foot a little closer to the center line. And we're going to take our right foot to scooch all the way out to the right side. So this might require a little bit of finagling, but we're going to let that right knee fall towards the center line. So the further out your foot goes to the right side, the more sensation you're going to get here. The closer your foot is to that left foot, the less sensation. I'm going to try to keep the left knee pointing up towards the ceiling. Good, getting some nice hip mobility in here. Good, then we're going to gently reverse it. So slowly bring the knee back up to center and then walk the right foot all the way to meet the left. You're going to hook your right foot behind the left ankle and open that right knee to a half bound angle. So right knee points out towards the right side. Oh, relax. Nice. Soften here as much as you can. Good. Really press into the top of that right foot to pull the knee back to center. And then we're going to switch. So your right foot goes towards the center line. Left foot scooches all the way over to the left side. And we let that left knee fall towards the center. Oh, notice if one side's different. So remember in this practice in particular, we're not trying to move into intense sensation. So that's another thing that we've kind of been conditioned to do, is that the more sensation that's there, the better you're doing in yoga. And that's not always true, because the more sensation there is, the less you're going to be able to soften. The practice that we do today is all about relaxation and softening. Good, let's reverse it. So you're going to scooch that left foot to hook the ankle behind, or hook behind the right ankle rather, and let the left knee fall out to the side. Nice half bound angle. So if you're in a posture and you're feeling tons of intense sensation, that's great, but can you simultaneously soften? So finding that balance is really essential in this practice. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Good, let's press into the top of that left foot to kind of move the knee back to center. And we're going to make our way up to our comfortable seat, however you need to get there. So you might cross the ankles and rock a few times. You might Frankenstein it. You might tip to one side, press your way up. It's all perfectly fine. So let's go right over to our hands and knees. We'll find our tabletop and just find a few rounds of cat and cow to get the spine nice and warm. And you might also do some little kickbacks through your heels. I've been doing a lot of steps lately. So my hamstrings have been really tight. Those are kind of lifesavers. And then let's just move into some nice, slow cat and cow. So again, noticing where sensation lives in your body today. And kind of knocking at the door of sensation, but not pushing ourselves so far. Good, maybe 2 more breaths here. Then let's come on back to center. And we're going to tuck the toes. So let's work with our knees and our feet a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take my blanket to squish between my knees and kind of support between my butt and my toes. So curling the toes under, we're going to start to slowly walk our way back. Kind of reach back, maybe spread your toes a little bit wider. And see if you can sit up nice and tall. And if this is too intense, remember you can always stay on your hands and your knees. You can always build up a little bit more with your pillows. It's all fine. So we're going to settle into this for a few moments. Drop your shoulders down. I did this with a teacher last weekend, I think, as a yin pose. She timed it. And she called it screaming toe pose. I think it's actually called intense toe stretch. Screaming toe pose sounds more accurate. So remember, we're still relaxing our face, relaxing our jaw. A few more deep breaths here. Good, last breath, nice deep inhale. That feels like enough. So let's come back to our hands and we'll move our support to the side and just pick up your feet and maybe roll the ankles in both directions. Maybe wiggle your toes around a little bit, maybe shake it out. Then we'll do the opposite. So we'll find hero pose. So we're going to go ahead and separate our feet now, bring the knees a little closer together. So tons of ways for you to support yourself here. This is going to be our first time posture. So you might take your bigger bolster, place it underneath your butt. You might do the same thing that you did before with the blanket, kind of squished behind your knees. That might work. Block under your butt might feel really good. You might build up a couple of props, or you might just go ahead and sit between your feet. All right, so this one we're going for 3 minutes. So as you settle in here, remember you are going to be here for a few minutes. So if you feel like you want to walk backwards, you can do it. But just know that if it starts to get too intense, you want to make your way back out. So if you are going there, I like to grab a hold of the bottoms of my feet and start at my elbows. And then spend a few breaths and gauge if you want to go further or not. You might chill there. You might slowly lower yourself down to your back. Whoa, maybe not today. So saddle pose, this one is called in yin. Maybe you close your eyes. So through this practice, we also start to really become in tune with our body, or more in tune with our body. So when we have this inner dialogue of hating our body, of disliking the way that it looks, of body dysmorphia, whatever it might be, we kind of feel really blown out of our body. We don't feel super connected to it, because of course we don't. So this practice kind of teaches us to root back into our body and to really start to appreciate the way that it can move. And not just that, but also recognizing that yoga is not just a tool for building strength. It's not just a tool for toning our bodies. And it doesn't always have to be an aggressive, heated practice for you to be doing something. Got about 4 more breaths here. Good. Slow the breath down. Mm. Good. We take our final breath here. And then we start to think about how we want to transition. So I'm going to go ahead and just scoot my legs out of the way and extend them out. You might come to lay on your back. You might come to lay on your belly. Let's just take a moment in between postures to really integrate. So whatever that looks like for you, however messy it looks, great. Make it happen. But try to find a space of stillness. And noticing not just the sensation in the posture, but the sensation when we release, the lingering sensations. So noticing the red hot blood as it flows back into your toes, back into your knees. Noticing any shift in your hips and your thighs. Nice. So we're going to gently make our way back to our hands and knees where we started off here. And as slow as you need to make that happen. Oh, so especially with those 2 intense stretches, our legs should be feeling a little different now. So let's work upwards a little bit. I'm going to focus now on our shoulders, our wrists, and our neck. So let's start by flipping the fingertips out towards the edges of your mat. And the inner elbows start to maybe look towards each other. And we soften the inner elbows. We spread the fingertips wide. Little tuck to the tailbone. Little hug of your belly in towards the spine. You might take it further by flipping the middle finger towards the knees. Really gently. And then again, soft elbows. We're not hyperextending. We're relaxing. Relax your neck. Nice. You might start to sit back just a little bit. Be really gentle as you do that. There's no force. Good. Again, becoming familiar with sensation. Grounding ourselves in our bodies, rooting ourselves in our bodies, even when it's uncomfortable. Okay, let's gently release, flip the fingertips forward. Oh. And same thing that you did with your feet, maybe you roll and then shake out each wrist. Nice, feeling a little more alive in the hands now. Let's find thread the needle. So making sure that we've got some stacking of our knees and our hips. And this is going to be another time posture. So if you need some extra support under your knees, which I most certainly do, let's grab it. And let's reach our right fingertips way up. So first, just find this expansion in your chest. Take a really deep breath in. And as you exhale, thread. So right arm goes under left. And we land as close to the shoulder blade as we can. So once you arrive there, your left fingertips might slide forward if it's comfortable. Comfortable being subjective. You might bring the palms together. You might even take your left hand to kind of loop around to your right thigh. Sometimes that feels really good. So let's say we're going to do 2 minutes on each side for this one. We're going to try to get both directions for the shoulders today. So as you're melting in here, again, making sure that your hips are stacking over your knees. And then relaxing your whole face and let your belly relax too. And notice the internal dialogue as you find these spaces of stillness. Recognizing that we might be beating ourselves up worse as we have been in quarantine for almost a year. You might not have been able to move your body as much, or you might not have felt like it. Let's take 3 more breaths. And let's gently slide that left hand back to center. Press the earth away gently and extract the right arm. So for me, I'm just going to plant my right hand back down and rest there. Yours, it might feel really good to reach up. Whatever feels right, you might take a cat and cow. You might take a little mini child's pose for a couple breaths. Notice the difference in the space behind your shoulders. One versus the other. Good, let's do the other side. So now reaching the left fingertips all the way up. And gently threading through. Left arm goes under right. Landing gently. Maybe we walk the left fingertips a little further out or a little closer to our face. And then just kind of decide what you want to do with that right hand. So it might stay on the ground. Hands together. You might go for your left thigh. Good. Same amount of time on this side. Recognizing distinct differences between the two sides, particularly when we talk about shoulders. Good. And notice when I ask you to notice differences or to notice sensation or notice the way that your body moves. Recognize if you do that immediately from a space of judgment about yourself. And that judgment is something that we truly just have to unlearn. And it might take a lifetime. Good. Soften into your left shoulder. Relax both arms. Relax this whole left side of your face, melting into the ground. Soften your belly. Your belly doesn't need to be hugging in towards your spine. We're not working on our core strength. Notice how sensation differs from the first second of the posture to the last few. Because let's gently release it. So press the right hand. Oh, gently extract the left arm. And again, whatever feels right. Tuning into your body is really natural ability to know what it needs next. Good. Let's come on to our bellies now. So as you come onto your belly, I'm gonna support myself again with my blanket. So you might unfold it once, whatever feels right. And as you come to lay down, just make sure you have some of your props kind of close to your face. There we go. I think you guys can see me a little better now. Nope, I made it worse. Okay. Sorry, quick pause. There we go. That's better. All right. So slowly making your way onto your belly. We're going to do a little twisties for our shoulders. So first, just let yourself rest, kind of melt in. And all I'm going to do here is pick up each foot one at a time and kind of press my toes back and release the leg back down. So all that's doing is getting more space into this front part of my hip flexors. Good. So we're taking that lengthened space now. We're going to extend our left arm out to the left side and plant the palm gently. Good. Now all we're doing from here, we're going to start to turn towards the left hand. So your chest is going to face towards your right, and this is where your props might come in handy. So I'm going to go ahead and stick a pillow under my head. And then a couple of options here. So this like straight line might not be comfortable for most of us. It's not comfortable for me. You might take your right foot to plant, whether it's in front of or behind that left leg, doesn't matter. You might use your right hand to kind of keep you propped up. Your left fingertips are reaching out to the left side. So same thing, we're going to do 2 minutes on each side for this one. So we got that space behind the shoulders. Now we're working the space in our collarbones. And we're working into the rotator cuff. So getting really familiar again with sensation. Tuning into how far you should go. How much slack we should give ourselves. And truly, you are the only one who knows that answer. But what I will ask you to do is soften your legs. So I just noticed that I have my left leg really tensed up. Relax the bottom leg, relax the top leg. Relax your left hand. So make sure it's not balled up into a fist. Got about 3 more deep breaths here. Nice. So slowly, roll yourself back to the middle and maybe take a little rest. Bring the left arm back in and whatever you need to do. So maybe you kind of roll out the shoulder a little bit. Maybe you simply find stillness. Recognize the amount of tension, the amount of weight that your shoulders are carrying. And then let's do the other side. So we're going to reach our right fingertips out and gently support ourselves, rolling. Oh, this side's going to stink. Rolling towards the right. So your chest now is facing the left edge of your mat. And then same thing. I'm going to prop myself up by bending my left knee and just touching it to the earth. Your legs might be straight. You might use your left hand to prop you up. Good. 2 minutes on this side as well. Notice if you needed support on one side, but you don't need it on the other. So again, relax your legs, relax your right hand. Relax your neck, your belly. Recognize the incredible shapes that you can make with your body. Notice how your body supported you just throughout this past year. Notice how it has supported you throughout your entire life. Let's take a final breath in this shape. Slowly return to center, find your rest. Oh, melt, relax. Oh, release the right arm. Whatever movement feels good, whatever stillness feels good. Hmm. Hmm. Beautiful. So let's slowly make our way back up. And we'll warm it up a little bit to finally move into our hip openers, which I know everyone was so excited about. But we'll start with our comfortable seat. We're just going to open our neck a little bit, find a forward fold, and then go into those big, beautiful hip openers. So in your comfortable seat, notice how you can sit up now a little bit taller. First of all, my shoulders can relax now. That's nice. And just let your hands rest maybe on your knees or maybe towards the outside of your hips. Drop your chin to your chest. Feel some length, feel some space. And then just give yourself a little side to side movement. So right ear, right shoulder, roll to the center, left ear, left shoulder. A couple times like that, roll to center. And maybe your breath starts to match it. But if it doesn't, don't panic. Just make sure you have some connection to your breath. Good. So the next time that your right ear floats over to your right shoulder, we're going to stay there. Good. So a couple of options here. You might take your left wrist and press the left wrist away from your body, down towards your mat. It might touch the mat, mine doesn't. And then really pull the left fingertips back towards your forearm. You might instead use your right hand very gently to the left side of your head. Wonder how both feels. Let's try it. Ooh, you might do both. Beautiful. Notice all the new discoveries you can make. Good. Slowly return your chin back to your chest. Relax. And then let's do the other side. So gently tip the left ear to the left shoulder. And then same thing, kind of feel what feels right in your body. So I'm going to start with that flex of my right wrist and really pulling the fingertips back towards my right forearm. I'm going to see how it feels adding the weight on. Good. Remember, we don't have to be an intense sensation. And let's slowly return to center, chin to chest. And then let's roll all the way up through the crown of the head. Done with neck and shoulders for the night. So let's go with a nice forward fold before we move into those big hip openers. So I'm going to go ahead and take my 2 pillows to either knee and gently bring the soles of my feet together. So we did our half bound angle. We're moving now into our full bound angle. Bound angle. So you might wrap your hands around your feet, but you might also let this be really passive. So softening into it first, letting the knees kind of drop open. And then eventually you might start to fold forward, and there's a couple of options for you there too. So if you have that little baby chair nearby, you can place the chair in front of you and lean. That actually feels really nice. If you have more open hips or feel like you can go a little further, you might use your bolster. You might build it up a little bit, bolster and block. Your knees might need more support, so you might fold your pillows in half or give yourself an extra pillow on each side. Make it yours. Celebrate the fact that our bodies don't all do the same thing. Just close your eyes here and allow yourself, your gaze, to move internally. Slow it down. Just going back to that concept that, I don't know, this is a thought that I have a lot when I'm practicing. If I didn't get a really good workout in, if I didn't sweat, or if I didn't do enough strength training, I feel like my practice wasn't worth anything. And I know that that's not true. And this practice in particular helps me to remember that that's not true. And the fact is that we overexert ourselves and we work out too much and we burn ourselves out of this dislike for our bodies. And when we're coming to a space of rest, even if it's kind of this working rest like we're doing now, we're honoring our bodies. We're recognizing that we don't have to work to deserve our rest. And we're honoring the fact that our bodies do not need changing. Yin and gentle and restorative practices of yoga are the practice of honoring the body that you are in this exact moment. Drop your shoulders forward. Relax your hands. Let go of resistance. Relax the space between your eyebrows. Relax your jaw. Just very gently, and start to roll ourselves back up. Hip openers, hooray. So tons of options as we move into our hip opener, first hip opener of this practice. First big hip opener of this practice, because we already did some opening. So we'll work with the biggie first, just kind of get it out of the way. Dragon lunge. So if you know exactly what your body needs today, you don't need any tips from me, go for it. Absolutely go right into what feels right. So it doesn't matter which foot we step forward first, just make sure you remember which foot stepped forward first, and you lean into it. And then we support ourselves from there. So depending on how we're feeling here, I'm going to have my chair to the inside of my front foot to rest my arms on. Right? I want to be up a little higher. But I have something happening with this back hip. So I am also going to make sure that my knee and ankle are supported with my blanket. And then I'm going to give myself this little height with my bolster on my back hip crease. Cool. So I don't overstretch it. So this is a biggie. This one's 5 minutes on each side. So settle yourself in. If you don't have the chair to use, you might stack up a bunch of books. You might use your block, bolster. You might put a bunch of different props there. I was watching a video, an Instagram video the other day. The woman was listing all the different things that you can use instead of a block that you have at home. And it was like a can of beans, your cat. She just had like each. It's funny. So as you settle yourself in, I just want you to roll your shoulders forward. So we're not trying to align our neck and our shoulders here. We're letting it relax. And then just notice, so my right knee just really wants to go out to the right side today. I'm just going to let that happen. And then my back leg, my back knee wants to kind of turn to the left side. I'm going to let that happen too. You might play around with lifting that back knee and turning the knee to the inside, if that makes sense. So turning it towards the center line. Neither way is right or wrong here. I just want you to kind of get familiar with playing with the sensation in your body. And maybe noticing a new sensation. Or you might turn your knee to the center and like, oh, that feels exactly the same. And that's totally fine. So notice the tension that you have built up in your face since the moment that we got into this posture. So relax your jaw. I want you to soften the forehead. And then really try your hardest to relax both legs. And that might seem like an impossible task right now. And that, again, might be because you are forcing too much sensation. And maybe you need some more support from your props. It just also might be because you have tight hips or you're injured there or your knees hurt. And that's okay. We are simply using this practice to come home to our bodies. To undo all of the things that we have been told about ourselves or told ourselves, the way we're supposed to look. Notice how your breath has shifted, or if you forgot about your breath completely. And can you come back to it? And again, it might not form a particular um, pattern. It is good enough to just notice. Good. You've got time for about one more little scan of your body, noticing where you're holding. Where can we stop resisting? Hmm. Good. So think about the way that you want to come out. So maybe we're pressing into our hands, oh, making noise, moving our props to the side, just kind of flopping. Maybe we're finding a child's pose, tabletop. Maybe you want to sit. Ooh. And again, I want you to pay some attention to the sensation in these between parts. So we don't often get to do that in regular yoga classes. We don't really have time to do that. But notice how the sensation shifts once you release the pose. Good. So let's will ourselves to do the other side. So gently coming back up. And just kind of shifting our support around. I'm probably going to do the same thing on this side. I totally forgot to mention this other variation on the other side. I'm so sorry. That's not bad. What you can also do, if that was too intense, is do the lunge over the chair and then drop your back knee. And then you might take a bolster or something to support yourself here. That works too. Whew. So let's remember which side we put forward already. And let's do the other side. All right, same amount of time. So again, remembering that my head is lifted so that you can hear me better. We're relaxing our shoulders forward. You might even bring your chin to your chest. And then your outer arm might kind of rest on that front thigh, or the elbows might be towards the inside. But again, we're not super, super worried about alignment here. So if things start to kind of fall apart, great, let it happen. Messy is good. In this practice, messy is great. Hmm. I'll let you find a little more quiet stillness on this side. But I will ask you to notice that internal dialogue. Notice your breath. Where can we soften? Hmm. Where can we find more ease? Hmm. 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 Then notice the way that the sensation has shifted from the first second to now. Got a little over a minute left in this shape. Good. Relax your belly, let it hang. Hmm. I'll ask you to take about 4 more deep breaths here. Good. Gently, slowly break your pose. However you need to, as much noise as you need to, and land wherever you'd like to. But we are going to end up on our backs after this one. So give yourself a few moments in whatever shape looks, feels right to you. Oh, feel the distinct difference in your hips, in your knees. Let's make our way onto our backs. So quick heads up, we're going to move into Shavasana right after this shape. So if you feel like getting yourself set up beforehand, that's a really nice little preemptive setup. We'll move into a nice restorative bridge. I feel like that's a nice way to close. So when you come in, a couple of options. I have wood on me from my chair. I like to use the block underneath my sacrum it might feel like it's too edgy for you. So you might place a blanket over the block. You might use a bolster instead. That's totally fine. So I'm going to press my feet, soles of my feet into the earth, and just slide my block underneath my sacrum. That nice, bony, flat part of my low back. So remember that this shouldn't hurt. So if you feel some pinching in your lower back, lift your hips, move your block around, get it into a better spot. And then same thing, my hands again just always kind of gravitate towards my belly or my hips. Yours might rest on the ground, yours might go into cactus. It's totally up to you. And then I'm just going to ask you to pay some attention to your neck. So if you can lengthen through the crown of your head, and then just really lightly lift your chin. So imagine that there's like a little softball between your chin and your chest. And then close your eyes. So just like our other postures, we're not super worried about muscular effort here. So maybe as you start to relax a little deeper, your knees start to splay out a little bit. That's okay. And if you have your hands on your belly, like give yourself a little gratitude there. No matter what your belly looks like, it's a good belly. Maybe send some energy to heal those thoughts, those patterns, the words that don't serve us, and the words that simply aren't true. Who decided what bodies are good and what bodies are not? Good. So I'm going to give you the next minute or so to transition into your Shavasana. So if you feel like you want to go there right now, go for it. If you feel like you need another 30 seconds in supported bridge, hang, rest. If you want to take 30 seconds and do something that I missed that you really felt like you wanted to do tonight, that's a great idea too. Start to gently think about moving into your rest. And then let's make our way in to lay down. We'll do a little different today. Very short yoga nidra. But as we are going through to soften these pieces of our body, as I guide you through that, I want you to also think about Sending that healing energy to those spaces, especially the ones that feel like outcasts in your body. And what I mean by that is the spaces in your body that you tend to talk negatively about. So, for example, for me, it's my thighs, my belly, occasionally my arms. So instead of those thoughts where we start to judge ourselves, we start to maybe bring some attention to that space and then don't want to because we don't like that space. I want you to really practice bringing all of your awareness there and then bringing that space back home, reconnecting to it. So let's close our eyes to begin. And wherever your hands are resting, if it feels comfortable, that's great for me. Support yourself in any way that you need. And then settle. And just begin by taking 2 deep breaths. So as you inhale, puff up this space in your chest. And let it go. Good. Puff up the space in your belly. And let it go. Bring all of your awareness into all 10 of your lovely toes. And relax each one from the big toes all the way to your pinkies. Relax the balls of your feet, the arches, the heels. Relax the tops of your feet. Relax your ankles, your shins and calves. Your knees, your thighs. The entire length of your legs, soft, heavy. All of the attention now into your fingers. And same as your toes, relaxing from the thumbs all the way to your pinky fingers. Palms of your hands, back of your hands. Your wrists, your forearms. Elbows. Upper arms and shoulders. Soft. Relax your tailbone, your hips, your sacrum, that lower portion of your spine. Middle back, the back portion of your rib cage. the space between the shoulder blades and the shoulder blades themselves soft. Relax your belly, front part of your ribs, your chest. This entire space from left to right collarbone. Your throat, your neck. Unclench your jaw and allow your tongue to move away from the top of your mouth. Cheeks are soft. Eyes are soft. Forehead is relaxed. And as we soften, we welcome all of it back home. And recognize that we won't love our body every day. And that it is a practice. So if you feel that you need to stay and rest, you can absolutely feel free to bail now. Otherwise, let's begin to bring that awareness just back to the rhythm of our breath. And you might just notice the rhythm, you might deepen the breath. And in your own time, just start to wiggle our fingers, wiggle our toes, maybe move the head side to side, maybe Stretching out through the wrists, through the ankles, maybe reaching overhead. Listen to your body. Allow it to guide you into the shapes that feel right. Take your time to make your way up to a comfortable seat. Hmm. Just very lightly draw your hands together at the center. Close your eyes. And in this moment, find some genuine gratitude for everything that your body has done for you just today, just in the past hour and a half. Everything that your body has done to keep you alive, to keep you moving. All the places that your feet and your legs have taken you. All of the delicious foods that have come into your belly. We find this gratitude as often as possible. And I know that it's hard. But at the end of the day, recognizing that our bodies are amazing. And nobody else gets to decide whether they are attractive or not, and whether they are lovable or not. Let's close the practice with the sound of Om and 3 Shantis for peace. Inhale deeply for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bow forward to seal your practice. As always, I thank you for simply showing up when things are tough. Thank you for your intentions and for your practice. Namaste.